Hi, everyone, and welcome to another TGN Live event. For those of you that are new here to the Gypsy Nurse, we are the largest and most active online community for travel healthcare workers. We're proud to be a one-stop shop resource for travel nurses, travel healthcare workers, allied, you're all welcome. Whether you're new to travel nursing, have been doing it a while, or getting ready to take the leap, we have tons of articles, videos, and all kinds of resources to help you get started. We have a job board to help you find your next adventure, and a housing page that's ran by Furnish Finder to help you find a place to stay. We have discounts and so much more. We do these live events once or twice a month with industry experts and other travelers to give our community a chance to ask their travel healthcare questions in real time with someone who knows a thing or two about travel healthcare. You can listen to this one or others on demand on thegypsynurse.com. Also, while you're on thegypsynurse.com, be sure to sign up as a member to be included in our upcoming contest and receive updates on the infamous TravCon. We just wrapped up TravCon 2023, and it was the largest and I'd say the funnest one yet. And you don't want to miss out on next year's conference, which is September 22nd to the 25th at the Paris in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tickets are on sale now, and the sooner you buy your ticket, the better deal you will get throughout the whole year. So if you already know that you want to go, hurry up, get your tickets so that way we can all have a time of our lives. AMN was with us this year too, so they had a great time, which if you don't already know, TravCon is the largest healthcare in-person conference out there. And yes, I'm including you, Allied. You need to be there. TravCon is full of education, fun, and an epic after party. We party on the rooftop of Dre's. You get a beautiful view of the Bellagio and Caesars and all down the strip. And you don't have to be a travel healthcare worker to attend. If you're a new nurse or if you've been doing it, if you're a retired travel healthcare worker, you're all welcome. We want to see you there. So moving on to more fun things. Today we have AMN here, and they're going unfiltered about the current travel nursing market and how it impacts nurses and facilities. Of course, the team will be sharing tips on all things travel nursing, like how to efficiently search for jobs, communicate with your recruiter, and get the most out of every assignment. So joining us from AMN, we're welcoming back Saundra Vild. She wasn't on our last one and we missed her so much, but we did have great company on our last live. And we also have Tia Ellis, Nicole Obra, and Lauren Jones. Welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love having you on here. So very excited about this topic. I know there's a lot going on in the industry right now, so we kind of need that unfiltered conversation right now.
We're so excited to be here, Rachel, and I'm excited to be back. It's so nice to see your face and to get in front of all of our wonderful travelers. Yes, that includes our allied professionals as well. Next time, Rachel, I've got to bring an allied leader on, or one of our allied recruiters. Yeah, we can get that side of the business too. But thank you again for having us. I'm pumped about TravCon already, and it's a year away. So hopefully everybody else is too.
Definitely. All right, I'll let you guys take it away.
Sounds great. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. We're excited to have you with us. We're excited to be back and to be a part of the Gypsy Nurse Live. And as Rachel talked about, be really unfiltered with you about what's going on in the market. We would love to have your questions in the chat, and we want to hear from you. What can we answer? How can we best support you? What things have you been dying to ask that now you have the opportunity for? So throw those questions in the chat. If you've been on one of these before with me, you know I cannot start any of them without thanking all of you, our wonderful clinicians, whether you're nurses, allied professionals, CNAs, whatever you might be. Just thank you so much for all that you do to support our communities. We're going to talk a lot about what travel nursing means. We're going to talk about local too. We've got Miss Tia on with us, so we'll talk some about what local looks like and what does per diem mean. How do you find those shifts? How do you have the best conversation? But Just a huge shout out to all of you. I will share just a personal story that a couple weeks ago, I was actually at the emergency room with my 6-month-old baby, which was not a place that I wanted to be, definitely not a first that I ever want to experience. But I had a wonderful AMN travel nurse there take care of us. And it's just really impactful to see what that full circle looks like. And I am so thankful for everything that you do. But with that, we'll kind of get started. I do have a giveaway. I have a mystery box of nursing essentials. So it's something really exciting, I'm sure, in that mystery box for the first 3 people to drop a question in the chat. So throw your question in the chat. We'll have that those winners announced, and we'll be sure to answer all of the questions that you have. Nicole, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and I also have to give you the shout out from Katya. I hope I said that right, Katya. She said that our booth was so fun at TravCon, and I know you were there.
I was there. You probably recognize the shirt. So thank you so much, Katya. It was a pleasure meeting you and everyone else that stopped by. So thank you all so much for everything that you do and for taking time out of your busy schedules to come see us, because I know there's a lot going on out there. But my name is Nicole. I am a director of recruitment here at AMN Healthcare. I have been with the company for almost 10 years, and I've seen so much of this market and all the changes that have happened over that time. So I'm excited to be on this live and able to answer your guys' questions, and hopefully it's helpful. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Nicole. And we're going to talk a little bit more about TravCon too. Miss Lauren, we're so excited to have you here with us, and would love for you to share just your experience and what you're doing here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm Lauren Jones. I am actually a previous AMN traveler. I was a traveler for 4 years, but traveled about 12 assignments across 8 states. So tried to hit all the hot spots, but I am a part of the clinical team now with AMN, and I have been in this with the clinical team for about little over 4 years. But I support both clinicians on assignments and our client partners. So I'm happy to be here. Wish I could have been at TravCon. Sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, Lauren. You can share all that awesome experience that you and Mark have on your travel journey. I love it. Well, we're so excited to have you. And we'll be talking to Lauren more about just her experience as a travel nurse, what that looked like, and then also, of course, how the clinical team supports all of our clinicians on assignment. Last but not least, you may recognize her if you follow our Instagram and our TikTok. Miss Tia is a star, and we're so happy to have her here.
Thank you. So I am Tia, and I am actually on the local side. So I'm actually a senior recruitment manager on our local side. And I've actually been doing it here with AMN for about a little bit over 2 years, but I've actually been in the healthcare market and staffing for a local per diem for almost 10 years. So I'm really excited to join and be able to be back in this discussion again. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tia. And we'll hear a lot about the local kind of market. What does per diem mean? That's a question that we get a lot on the travel side too. So very excited. Rachel's giving you a shout out for being here for 10 years in the industry and in the market. So great. We do have one question. So Jessica, you're going to be one of our winners, but I am still looking for more questions. So keep throwing them in the chat. I have 3 mystery boxes to give away. I hear they're pretty awesome. You're definitely going to want one. But Jessica is contemplating doing travel nursing. So the first thing we're going to say is yes, do it. But what should she look for in a travel agency? Maybe Nicole, I'll go to you first. And then Lauren, would love for you to tack on. Tia would also like to come to you to say, as you're kind of prepping for travel, maybe per diem or a local assignment's a good idea. But Nicole, I'll go to you first. What do you think is really important for travelers to ask when looking at what agency they should work with?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, but definitely, ask about, what their knowledge is on the market. What kind of jobs do they have available? Ask about, benefits. Ask about, why. Ask your recruiter, why should I choose this company, and see what they say. The company at the end of the day is going to be so important, but you also want to make sure that you have that relationship with your recruiter. So don't be afraid to be prepared when you're having that conversation with questions about anything and really dig into, what that company does have to offer. And yeah, just be ready to kind of be prepared to let them know what you're looking for so that they have the best idea of what is going to work for you. And they can really make sure that they have all of that information and knowledge ready for you so that you can make the best decision possible. And to Saundra's point, yes, you should pick us. We've been doing this for a long time. Our recruiters are awesome. We have the most jobs, and we'll definitely keep you working, whether it's travel or per diem. So we'd love to have you. Please come on over, give us a call. Let's get an application in for you and get you on the road.
I love it, Nicole. And Lauren, you came right off mute. I saw your head shaking and you're like, yes, yes. What else would you add from a previous traveler? What was important to you?
I think the resources that are available. Your recruiter is a huge resource, but there's also a lot of other teams that are there to support you when you're on assignment. So you're not alone. If you need help with something on assignment, if it's personal, it's not even, related to your assignment, or maybe you do need that extra support with your department, or you just want someone to talk to. We're all here for you. So just know you're not alone. So I think that's incredibly important, of just what's available, and how we support you.
I love that. That support is huge. You all are out there taking care of everybody else. So making sure that there's someone in your corner to take care of you, right, Lauren?
Oh yeah, it's definitely important.
Yes, definitely. We all need that. Miss Tia, what about you? What would you add?
I would definitely add that even though, you may be new to travel, there's two sides to it. So a lot of times if you are looking to take a break for travel or still in that in between, you still don't have to go without work. So definitely don't forget that local per diem is there as well. And we are connected as one. So it's a lot easier process for both sides. So if you get on one side, you can definitely have on the other. So don't forget about local as well.
I love that, Tia. And something really, really different and unique in working with AMN is that we can really help you throughout your career. We hear from all of you, and I'm sure, Nicole, you could say this is a topic even at TravCon. And what does career growth look like as a travel nurse? What is that next step? We can really help you from early grad all the way to maybe you want to go into a leadership position or something that's different. We can support you in that as well. So Jessica, you heard from each of them, but ask the questions, be really transparent in what you're looking for and what you want. But then to Tia's point, it's okay to have that, that flexibility and understand that you're gonna have options. There's gonna be more for you to do, more for you to choose from. So hopefully that answers your question, Jessica. Would love more questions, so keep throwing them in the chat. I'll keep an eye out for them. I'll transition us into kind of our first topic that we wanted to chat through. Great question, Jessica. What's the future of travel nursing? I wish we all had a crystal ball. We're going to talk a little bit about this. When it comes to, I would think the elephant in the room, and something that we hear a lot about, Nicole, I know I'll go to you first to talk about TravCon specifically, but one of the questions that we get pretty consistently is, what's happening with rates? I want the highest rate that I could possibly have. Why are the rates changing? Why did we have these huge rates and now they're not? Am I not as valuable? Do hospitals not need me anymore? What's happening? So Nicole, I'll kind of go to you first to talk about what we've seen, what's changed. I think all of our nurses have probably felt that, but tell me more.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. This was a huge topic of conversation at TravCon. We heard it loud and clear. And I think the best way to kind of relay this across to everyone is, speaking back to my tenure, I've been doing this for a long time. I was a recruiter, and then before I was a leader. So I was working with you guys one-on-one. Rates have definitely changed and definitely fluctuated. But the great news is that the pandemic was like a crazy one-off situation, and the hospitals, they absolutely needed you. And I think the important thing to remember is that they still need you. But there's a lot of different factors on the back end that are kind of contributing to these rate changes. Obviously, finances is a big thing, lack of government funding, but the need is still there. And so at the end of the day, the hospitals need you. You are still absolutely valuable. And the great news about right now is that rates are still higher than they were pre-pandemic. So even though they're not as high as they were at the height of everything, we have to understand that, this isn't the new norm, and the hospitals do need to normalize, and they need to make sure that they're being smart about their finances so that they can continue to utilize travel nurses here and now, as well as in the future. So they just need to make smarter financial decisions. But at the end of the day, you are absolutely valued. They absolutely need you, and the patients are still there, and they're going to keep on coming in. So, talk to your recruiter about what's going on, but trust that if you work with a recruiter at AMN, we're going to be so transparent with you about what's going on and what that market shift looks like. So, really make sure that you're listening, you're asking questions, but we will always be straightforward with you and let you know what's going on and give you the best possible pay package and rate that we can, because we want to make sure that it works not only for you and the hospital, but also for the patients.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many things you talked about there, Nicole, just on the financial aspect of it, which I think we all kind of understand, but it's different, right? There's not that same government funding that's coming in. Jessica is highly engaged in our conversation, which I love. So I'm going to keep calling her out, but hospitals are short. So you would think the rates would go up? Yes and no, right? Because they have to find this balance of how do I get the contingent labor and support that I need in order to help my patients, but also keep my doors open. So there's this really hard balance without having that additional funding coming in. Lauren, I think what we're also seeing, and what's been a part of your career as a travel nurse and just as a nurse in general, is census has also changed. So ERs are not quite as full maybe as they were. Well, definitely not as heavy as they were during COVID, but talk to us a little bit more about that census change and how that affected you even pre-pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the specialty, but some, different departments are seeing low census, depending on the area, depending on the time of year. So that's always affecting, not usually in my clinical lane, but, we do are part of some of the conversations, and we're hearing about, some facilities are, trying to focus on different areas to staff. So, I'm sure that's affecting the rate. And, whenever I was a traveler, it was pre-pandemic. So, the pay was, I wish it was as high as it even is now. It does seem to be higher now. So I think that's great for the travelers that we have. But yeah, so I've heard a lot about some of the areas lowering.
Yeah, and it is just dependent on the census. So like you're talking about, and I think for a lot of our clinicians that got into travel nursing during the pandemic, it can feel like a really strange shift, but interesting to hear what it was like pre-pandemic to where it is now. We know that things have changed kind of all over the landscape, but important to keep in mind. Tia, I'll go to you to talk about what that looks like, maybe rate specifically, but also what that looks like just picking up shifts if compensation is something that's really important.
Yeah, so local is a little bit different. We always have to explain that from travel, because a lot of times we'll get travel nurses that will kind of ask, well, what does the local side look like? And for us, we do have to also look at census. We do also look at them pay packages, because of course we have to explain a lot that unfortunately agency doesn't set rates. Like, we don't set those pay packages, and we have to kind of be upfront with our clinicians to let them know that. And a lot of times the hospitals are basing those off of, with their census and with their back to, we say normalization, trying to standardize back. And local is affected as well with picking up per diem shifts. So with census, sometimes it is low. A lot of times, we do have those cancellations, but you do also have to look at, sometimes they have an upbeat as well with, whether it's a new COVID strain, whether it's flu, whether we're coming into that winter. So you got cold season as well. So it does fluctuate based off their needs. So census are up and down for local as well.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty standard, right? I could probably look at Lauren as our resident nurse on this call and say that's pretty standard. We see those increases and decreases, and we see those rate fluctuations and changes. I think what's important for this group to maybe know is just have that transparent conversation with your recruiter. What does the rate look like? What does that mean? Why is it set that way? But I am going to talk a little bit about, just to switch us, if rates are something that are critically important to you, it's important to have that conversation with your recruiter. And there are certain times of the year, like right now, right, Nicole, where we see our facility partners give us higher rates so that they can attract clinicians. Nicole, talk to us a little bit more about winter orders and what some of our travelers might be hearing.
So exciting. Yes, we are absolutely seeing our clients come back and, they're giving higher rates. And I think a lot of times clinicians will ask for this and be like, oh, I want to hold out for this higher rate, but it's not a guarantee. So, if you're able to wait, absolutely, whatever situation is best for you, but we don't recommend it because at the end of the day, when those higher rates don't come, then you don't want to be stuck without a job. So it is good to take it when you see it. Think of it as like a sale. You don't want to miss out on the sale, except instead of something being discounted, you're getting more money. So, we will always do our best to, if rates increase, to advocate for you and try to get you that increased rate. But the great news is we did, AMN did get increased rates for one of our most exclusive, highest demand healthcare systems that we work for. So call your recruiter. If you don't have a recruiter, give us a call. We'll get you linked up with one. But it's super exciting, and this is what you guys wanted and have been waiting for. So take advantage because they're filling fast, and you don't want to miss out on that.
I think this is really cool, and the concept is cool for our newer travelers maybe on this, or people like Jessica who are just contemplating it, is this season that we're in for winter allows time to kind of plan for what does 6 months down the road look like, which, Lauren, for travel nurses is not always the case, right? A lot of times you have to be in the moment and saying, okay, in 2 weeks, I'm going to go here. But talk to us a little bit about what winter means from a travel nurse perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit I'm a planner. So back in the travel days, it was hard to have that shift of mind of, you got to be flexible, you got to be ready. And in the event that you can, secure one of those orders that is already available, I think that's great. But also know, as a traveler, you got to be flexible. And so it just, comes with it. Usually with winter orders, at my time of traveling, there was more availability of locations to go. So if you did have a little stipulation of where you wanted to go, that was an option typically, within reason, but it was always a nice time to find, a fresh start.
Yeah, that fresh start, try something new. Tia, what does winter orders mean for local or for per diem contracts?
Yeah, so for us, it's almost like travel is it's a first come first served basis thing. We know that you may not at that point, for rates, they do kind of go up and down. It just depends. But a lot of times for local, a lot of the hospitals do a flat rate. So we're like a little bit different. It's just a flat rate overall by specialty. So it's not necessarily they look at, how long you've been a nurse or what you currently are doing. It's more of that flat rate. And even for the local contracts, because they have more of a stipulation, you have to be under a certain amount of mileage. So it's just a flat rate. And that's a lot of times what we have to kind of explain to our clinicians, just to kind of let them know. But it is more of having that flexibility, being willing to, hey, if that opportunity doesn't work out for you, I can't always guarantee what the next couple of weeks or the next month or two may look like, because we all know healthcare changes, the market changes. So nothing is guaranteed. And it's no saying that, hey, maybe in a couple of months that hospital may say, I'm full, I don't need anyone else. So some opportunities may close. So that's that transparency, just letting that clinician, but having that flexibility and being open to options can help as well.
Yeah, I love that. Nicole, looks like you have something to add.
Yeah, to just piggyback off what Lauren and Tia said, I think coming to that conversation with your recruiter prepared with knowing, what are your time off requests and what is flexible, what is non-negotiable. Because most hospitals are, able to approve time off, but it's one or the other. You can't have all the holidays off because at the end of the day, you're there to fill that need. So just be prepared with that conversation and what your non-negotiables are. Also what you want to think about too is thinking of January and just thinking about how people their mindset is they want to try something new. They have this New Year's resolution to start traveling. So it does get really competitive in January. So if you're, wanting to lock in a job and maybe, not sure what you want to do after the new year, this is a great time to get in there and really do what you've been wanting to do. And, with a lot of people taking time off, the staff taking time off, there's going to be a lot of area for overtime, most likely, as long as the hospital approves it, of course. So if you're one of those clinicians that loves to pick up extra shifts and work that overtime, this is a great time of the year to do it too. So take advantage of that.
That's such a great call out, especially if that that compensation piece is huge. I think this takes us to a really good transition. Again, we threw it in the chat, but I would love to hear the questions that you have for us. We are unfiltered and we'll answer whatever questions you have. So please feel free to throw those in the chat. I think it transitions us nicely, though, to what does it mean to look at travel? What are those non-negotiables? I think, Lauren, I'll maybe start with you of just what your experience was like in traveling, and what did that look like for you? What did you and Mark sit down together to kind of plan out or map out before your conversation with your recruiter?
Yeah, so I will go ahead and say, I don't think I said earlier, so I traveled with my now husband and we had totally different specialties. So one big non-negotiable was that we just needed to be in the same city. We could be at different hospitals. That didn't matter, just we needed to be in the same location, but different specialties. So that was, kind of a puzzle we had the same recruiter, which I cannot say enough that your recruiter makes your experience. So make sure you have a great recruiter. But she would locate all the different, cities that had options for us both. So then we went from there. Where would we want to go? Location was usually more important to us because we knew in that time of our lives, this was, a great opportunity to see the country. So a location was more important to us. Obviously, pay is important, but we did it for the experience. So as long as we could find jobs in the same city, that was what we wanted.
I love it. And I think that that's setting what is that most important. What's that number one for you? I think for a lot of us, we would say pay, of course, is a component, right? We're never, sometimes, right? I know in my past as a recruiter, I would have a clinician that would say, you know what, this contract, I'm just going to do for the experience. And I don't really care how much it's going to pay. If I really want to go to Hawaii, let's say, spoiler alert, Hawaii's not going to pay you a ton because everyone wants to go there. So you do go for the experience. And I think that's what you have to determine, right, Lauren, for yourself is the experience the most important thing, or is it the pay? And if it's the pay, am I willing to forego the location and where I'm going to be? Tia, what would you add on to that?
So I would definitely say that it's the being open-minded is definitely, we know that pay is important. And I have a clinician that I would love to share a story for. So I have a clinician that I'm working with now, and rate was important to her at the time of travel. It was most important. We all know it was high rates. But you come a point where it's like, you got to kind of sit still for a second. You got to kind of stop traveling, because I'm pretty sure she's seen the world and I'm living through her. So definitely she's seen the world. But when I had a conversation with her, it was more of she wanted to kind of settle down. And it was, being with her family. It was wanting to be around her friends more because, of course, she haven't seen them in almost a year. I mean, she's been traveling. And then it was also about she wanted to go back to school and wanting to get another degree. So for her, it was more important to kind of stay close to home rather than, okay, is that hospital paying me, big bucks? So I kind of talked to her. We had that great conversation, and she kind of touched me a little bit because I was like, oh man, I'm living through you. And now you want to kind of sit for a little bit, but it was for a good reason. But yeah, sometimes you got to kind of decide, at that point, at this moment, especially with the way the marketing stuff is, maybe take this time to go back to school. Maybe take this time to spend time with your family. Maybe take this time to take care of yourself. And I know we all still have to work and stuff, but I know a lot of us are burnt out as well. So just taking that time to see what's worth it and what's important right now.
Yeah, I love so much of what you said, Tia. And you're so right. I feel like as recruiters, we live vicariously through our travelers. So Lauren, I'm sure you gave your recruiter all kinds of great stories. But it's such a true statement in that our why changes, and that's totally okay. And having that transparent conversation, right, Nicole, is critical in making sure that we're supporting you in the best way possible. To Lauren's point, that recruiter really can make or break your experience. Nicole, what would you add to that, just on the transparency piece?
Gosh, I think at the end of the day, it's just, leave no stone unturned when you're having these conversations with your recruiter. At the end of the day, you built that relationship with them. They're here to not only be your friend, but they're here to be your advocate. They're here to be your career advisor. So the more transparent you can be about everything, the better. And we understand that things can change, and that's why you have that partnership and that person there to back you up and keep an eye out on jobs. Shameless plug for AMN Passport. Download the app and you'll be able to keep track of the jobs as well too on your own. You can set favorites and all of that stuff and make it so easy to find out what's out there. But yeah, the transparency piece is so key. And our recruiters like live and breathe transparency. We're always going to tell you the good, the bad, even if it's not something we necessarily want to tell you, like the rate is not where you want it to be, or the location's not quite where you want it to be, but that's okay. We'll work through it. And we have so many options out there that we are going to find something for you. And your recruiter may very well, just based off of the conversation and the things that you let them know, be able to find something that you may have not ever even thought about. I remember having, as a recruiter, just, having clinicians that were all about rate and rate and rate, or location. And, I would find a location for them that was on the opposite side of the country and say, well, look, this is the rate that you wanted. And, here it is, here's some options, here's some fun things to do that I was able to find. And next thing you know, there they are off to, Montpelier, Vermont, when they wanted, California. And they had the time of their lives. And fun little story, I won't go into detail, but I actually had a traveler who met her boyfriend and now husband, and they're soon to have a kid on assignment. And had she never gone to, actually it was Vermont, had she never gone to Vermont, she would have never met him. So
I love it.
I know, it's so fun. But yeah, transparency is so key. We will always be transparent with you. So just be transparent with us. And that's the way that the partnership is going to be the best that it can possibly be. And you're going to have the time of your life traveling.
I love it. So great, Nicole. Tia, you were nodding your head and smiling. Anything to add to what Nicole was saying, just as far as the transparency piece or anything there?
No, I mean, besides for the local side, I mean, we have to be honest. I mean, we can't sugarcoat anything. So I definitely would say that you guys clinicians just need to be open. I mean, it's not always what you want to hear, but we'll try to get the best of what you're looking for and kind of get what works for you.
I love that, Tia. And I think this is a great segue into one of the questions we actually got from Terrence. Why do we allow companies to change the rate of pay after a contract is signed? So Terrence, I'll start this. It's actually a question we answered in one of our previous lives, but I think it's a good one. It's good to understand what the landscape looks like. I'll kind of change that word allow to why are they able to, or what conversations have happened maybe previously. I do want everyone to be aware, and you kind of see Lauren's head shaking and Nicole and Tia's, is that rate change is not something that we just say, okay, hospital or facility, you want to drop the pay for somebody? Great, no problem. We'll go ahead and let them know. That's not a conversation we want to have with you. That's not a conversation Tia wants to have. That's not a dialogue that any of us want to get into. So there's a lot of steps that have happened prior to that being the end result. In most cases, the facility comes back and says, our census has changed, or these are the X, Y, and Z things that we've seen. And our teams on the client side will go and say, well, we have all these travelers that are here. Here are some recommendations that we have. It's not ever their first recommendation to just cut the rate. So we go through, maybe are there clinicians that have looked at or are interested in coming here that haven't started yet? Maybe they're not far along in the credentialing process. Can we maybe have those clinicians go someplace else? So they're constantly going through this solution-oriented kind of communication with the facility. Nobody ever wants to cut the rate. If it comes to a point where they would cut that rate or that pay rate. And Lauren, I don't know if you've ever had experience with this as a travel nurse, but we like to be able to, on the front end side and communicating with you, give you the option of whether you want to stay there with that rate or if you want to find something else that's going to better suit your need. Because we are, and that's sometimes a scary thing for travelers, because we are in a contingent labor kind of contract and piece. There's not that same kind of model across as if you were in a perm position or something like that. So Lauren, I don't know if you've ever had that experience or anything to add there.
Yeah, I believe one of us did have that come up when we were traveling, and we were given the option, do you want to stay? If you do, it will be a lower rate. Or do you want to move on? And then it was, not a negative cancellation. It was just a cease of contract. And then we moved on. But I feel like that's just another reason, to have that flexibility and that relationship with your recruiter. So if in the event that, you're about to be out of a job, you can already be looking for your next one. So
Right.
I think it's just something that comes along with traveling. So, I mean, it can be a risk, but if it comes, you just got to take it and move on.
And it's a bummer. I'm sure, Lauren, your recruiter, I know, did not want to have that conversation with you. It creates more work for everybody, right? And we don't take that lightly, that you've signed a contract. You're a travel clinician, so you're there temporarily. You're away from home, especially if there's two of you, right, Lauren? We have to look for something new. But we want to give you that option and be super open with this. This is the communication that we've been given at this point. How do we want to proceed? And either way is fine. But know that there's a lot of communication that happens on the back end to even hopefully avoid ever getting to that point. Nicole or Tia, anything that you would add to either of those two pieces?
I don't think anything to add. I think just reiterating that is that by the time your recruiter is calling you with that news, we've done everything we can to try to avoid this. So, at the end of the day, we have to deliver that news. And the good thing is that, with the training that we give our recruiters and that relationship that they have with you, when they're calling you to present that news to you, no matter if your decision is to stay or to move on to something else, they are going to be armed with some options for you, so that you're not, obviously like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Your recruiter will already have a plan for you, and their job is, before they get off the phone with you, to get your file out and get you submitted to other things if you decide that this isn't going to work out for you anymore. So it's a stressful conversation, but try not to stress out, because we've got your back and your recruiter's there to look out for you and advocate for you.
I love it. And Tia, looks like you have something to add as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're, local will do the same, even though it's a per diem position. A lot of times if we do have a rate change, of course, we can't, we don't make that change internally. It's something that's done with our clients, but we do the same as well. We'll offer options because, of course, there's more than likely more than one per diem facility in that area around you. So giving that options, having those options ready before giving the bad news can kind of ease that conversation a little bit as well.
It is very stressful for us to call you. So we want to make sure that we have all of those options too, so that we can have that moment together. But then to Lauren's point, say, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to move on? Do we want to stay? Here are some things that, fit a lot of what we were talking about before. It goes back to that initial conversation with your recruiter. How well do they know you? What do they know as far as your career goals go? We really look at ourselves as your career consultant. How can we help you get to the place that you want to be? Whether that's making a certain amount of money so that you can pay off bills and make enough money that you can buy your first home. Maybe it's that you just want to travel across the country and see, 27 different things that you want to, from the Grand Canyon to the Empire State Building. Whatever that is, that's where you want to be really open with your recruiter, not just at AMN, but in general, right? So whoever you're working with. Bristy, I love this question, just exploring different agencies. And the question is, why AMN? Why would I travel with AMN? Lauren, I'll come to you first, but I'm going to go to you, Tia and Nicole. Why should someone travel with us? Lauren, why did you decide to travel with AMN?
So we honestly, what drew us to AMN first was the availability of jobs. There were the most options, and we knew we needed that with our, different specialties and being a pair. So that is what drew us to AMN. What kept us here was our recruiter. That relationship, we did give up higher paying jobs in locations that we wanted to go to because we had that relationship with her and we knew we could talk to her, and there were times that she helped us out, and times of a low census cancellation, we had another job within hours. So we stayed. We did give up some higher paying jobs just because of the relationships we built and the support that we had when we were with AMN.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, Lauren. I'm going to come back to you from the clinical side, but I'm going to go to Tia first. Why should someone choose to travel with or to take a per diem assignment with AMN?
So I'm kind of going to piggyback off of Lauren. It's the flexibility we provide. It's not even just that. If you are not familiar with per diem, we also have a travel side, and we play hand to hand together. So you have so many different options that not everyone can offer. And a lot of times it's the processes that we do have. We try to make it as easy as possible, as well as the relationships that we build. Relationship is important to us. And it's not even just your recruiter relationship. It's your clinical manager relationship. It's your credential analyst relationship. It's the relationship that we built with our clients as well. So just be open to us, because a lot of times once you come, you don't want to leave. And I have a lot of clinicians that always tell me, I am glad I started here, or even a traveler that flips from travel to per diem. And they're just like, I never knew you guys offer so many, even the great benefits that we offer. So a lot of times it's the flexibility, it's what we can offer, and it's that relationship that we build.
Yeah, I love that, Tia. It's the focus on you as the clinician, whether that's nurse, allied, whoever you might be in between, whether you're travel or local, you are the focus for us. And I hope you're feeling that's coming across. Nicole, what else would you add?
I think Lauren and Tia really kind of gave all the whys, but what I would add is just that, we're here to really just help you elevate your career and be here to support you in whatever it is that you're wanting to do, whether your goal is for financial reasons or if it is to just, go to all 50 states. We're here to help you no matter what. If you want travel, if you want local, we've got that 24/7 clinical and housing support. We have this awesome app that just puts everything that you need and all your resources and communication right there at your fingertips. And all of our support teams, whether it's customer support, credentialing, clinical, housing, we're all here for you. So we just want to make this as easy as possible. We want you to have a great time. We want you to impact the hospitals and the patients, and just have fun while you're doing it. It doesn't need to be stressful, but we understand that when it is stressful, we're going to be here to support you. We're not going to leave you high and dry. And we're always going to, be a friend and an advocate and a career advisor to you. So we have the most jobs, and you should definitely get on board. And, we're happy to help, and we'll always do it with a smile on our face.
Yeah, so many things, so many things that we offer. I will just add on that Nicole said, we want to empower your career journey, whatever that looks like. So having that conversation, open dialogue with us. I think some of the questions that you want to ask too, when you're choosing a travel agency or someone that you're working with, are what are the things outside of, I'm going to say just, even though it's not just the amount of positions that are available, just the highest pay. How are you going to be supported on your journey? And that's where, Lauren, I want to come back to you to talk a little bit about what are the other things that we provide to our clinicians that are different from other companies.
Yeah, some other companies do have clinical teams, so I don't want to make it seem like we're the only ones that have clinical support. But we have a very, very large clinical team. We have somebody that is assigned to every facility we staff. So if you do have anything going on, maybe it's positive, you'll get positive feedback. It's not always negative, but if you are having any concerns on assignment, like I mentioned earlier, if it's on assignment or personal, we offer, different resources to clinicians that that work with us. We have an employee assistance program. If you just need someone to talk to, or, different forms of assistance needed at a time. We also, not that we ever want anyone to go through a crisis, but we do have a whole process in place. If something happens to you on assignment and you need extra support, you need help, with whatever it might be. So we do have different things that, a lot of people might not know about, and that might be a good thing, but it's there if you need it. And Nicole mentioned that we do have 24-hour clinical support and housing support. So night shift, I remember I couldn't get a hold of my recruiter at that time, and I get it. She had a life, but there is always somebody available to you on the nights, on a weekend. If something's going on, we're here for you.
Holidays, whatever it might be, right? There's always somebody there. Yes, we are coming up to the holiday season. So being able to have someone that's available. We also have our employee assistance programs where if you need someone to talk to for whatever it might be, we were talking about rates, right? Maybe you want somebody that's a really good tax professional when it comes to travel taxes, which are different. Or maybe I heard a story one time. I think it's true. I keep sharing it. Nobody corrects me. But one of our travelers actually needed help planning their wedding. And they used the employee assistance program because they were far away on a travel assignment and needed some connects back at home. So, there's a wide variety of reasons that you could use it. The other thing I'll kind of plug, and it's a little bit newer, two things is Nicole talked about AMN Passport, which is your one-stop shop for everything. We post jobs on there immediately. They're available. You have the opportunity to self-submit. So as Lauren was talking, maybe your recruiter is sleeping because they do have to do that. Maybe they're sleeping and you see a job that you absolutely have wanted. It's your dream. You can self-submit yourself. Make sure all of your documents are on file. So definitely a big differentiator for us is you can have control over what your assignment looks like and where you're going, what's available, all of that good stuff. We also have a community section, which allows all of you to connect with each other. Being on the road, especially by yourself, can be a little bit overwhelming and probably scary, I would think, to go, maybe 2,000 miles away, or maybe it's only 100 miles down the road, but you're in an entirely new space. That community function within our Passport app allows you to hear stories from other people. Where have they traveled? Where do they like? Maybe even connect. And then the last plug that I'll give is that we are a publicly traded company. So you can find us on the New York Stock Exchange. And very recently, we do have an employee stock purchase plan. So you can invest in AMN and your career as you grow with us. So really cool thing that's available to not only our internal AMN employees, but also our clinicians. And we'll have more information for that coming out soon. I think we did get one additional question. So hopefully that answers it for you, Bristy. But La Chi asked what the minimum experience to be able to begin travel nursing is. So Lauren, I'll go to you. What's the minimum experience look like?
Well, there are facilities that staff as a newer nurse. I believe it is 6 months right now. So 6 months, some specialties are a little higher, but I believe it's 6 months right now.
And I think that's a great plug for just that flexibility. If travel is something that you really, really, really want to do, and you do only have 6 months of experience, being open to going to one of these facilities can definitely get you kickstarted in the right direction, in the right way. I think it's really cool. Nicole, I'll come to you. Is these facilities tend to be obviously more available or open to travel nurses at an earlier phase, but I want to say like they're used to having them on the unit. So it's a different experience in that way too, than maybe just, some other facility that's not used to having travelers. Would you agree, Nicole, or anything to add there?
Yeah. And I think, at the end of the day, these facilities, they might be a little bit smaller, so they have the bandwidth to be able to, or not as quite as busy, where they have the bandwidth to be able to, give a little bit of extra help and support, which I think is so important, because at the end of the day, not only do we want to set you up for success on your assignment, the hospital wants to set you up for success once you're there. They don't want you to leave. So these hospitals that are going to take those early in career nurses are such a great first stop on your journey during traveling, that you can learn so much and really be well prepared when you do maybe hit some of these bigger healthcare systems or bigger cities where it gets a little bit crazier. You're going to want that experience under your belt.
And I love that you're calling that out, Nicole, because this is one of those questions that we got prior to this live event. And keep throwing those questions in the chat, guys. I'm watching and I'd love to see more. But we did get a question on what makes me stand out, or how can I stand out as a clinician? We've talked about flexibility already, but Tia, would you add anything onto like what makes me stand out?
Yeah. So definitely we talked about the flexibility, just being open, just, being willing to look at different options. Don't shut down on, your first one, or maybe we couldn't be able to find your first opportunity. But also your willingness and your determination as well. A lot of times we do, we could give you all the information and everything that's needed to get you on an assignment. But it does, it is ultimately up to the clinician to actually do that determination, show your willingness that you want to be on an assignment and complete your onboarding process. And, a lot of times I laugh because I say complete it, but then you have some clinicians that may ghost you, but it's your determination that'll make you stand out, as well as, sometimes, we may look at resumes and just, trying to see like if you are willing to travel or if you're open to trying different facilities. So that flexibility is a main one as well.
Yeah, I love it. The flexibility, being open, having, and I kind of say, like, if you're open and you're willing to take a travel assignment, maybe you are early in career, having that travel experience under your belt is also a big standout, because you've proven that you can go someplace, start, brand new and kind of go from there. Lauren, what do you think, or what do you think helped you stand out? Because you guys had to stand out a little bit differently too. But what do you think is helpful here?
Yeah, I mean, experience will always make you stand out. Where have you worked before if you have travel experience? But I think, even just having great communication, I think communication makes a huge difference. It ties in the transparency, it ties into being flexible. But if you just, keep the team that is working ultimately for you updated of what you need and what you want, I feel like you're going to stand out. They're going to know exactly what they're looking for, and that just helps guide them make decisions and get you the options. So I think that communication will make a huge difference in your travel journey.
I love it. I think I would add here, Nicole, I'm sure you would say the same thing, but also just making sure that your profile is entirely up to date. So if you're even just thinking about travel nursing, getting everything that you can on file or in prior to starting, right, Nicole?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think just having all your certifications and licenses and all that stuff up to date, have pictures of them ready to send over, or screenshots to send over, because the quicker we can get that stuff on file and get all that information into your candidate selling notes that the facility sees when we submit you is so important. And then be prepared to, just share anything and everything with your recruiter regarding your experience. If there's anything special that you've done or certain experience that you've gotten on your home unit that maybe a regular nurse in your specialty would not have, be sure to mention that, because we can absolutely add that. And you just never know when a hospital is going to be looking for someone a little bit more niche, and you might be that perfect person for it.
Great call out, Nicole. Tia, I'll kind of come to you on the credentialing piece, because if you want to move fast and local, you have to be credentialed.
Absolutely. So that is like one of our biggest pieces that we definitely want to help our clinicians with. Doing that onboarding process, that credentialing process is the biggest piece. And we coincide with our travel and local side. So the good thing about AMN is we can transfer documents between both departments. So a lot of times if you are on a travel assignment and you're like, I need a break, maybe I need to pick up a couple of shifts, you can get a local recruiter, and we can kind of communicate with each other and get your documents transferred, which makes your credentialing process so much easier. But if you are new to AMN, it is, we guide you, we lead you through that credentialing process, but it is ultimately, up to that clinician to take that initiative to want to, complete your documents, have your documents ready, have your medical documents, your licensure. So that's definitely something that is important as well.
Huge standout. Definitely makes you move faster in the process. Lauren, you probably have nightmares about credentialing from the very beginning, but the nice thing about it is, to Tia's point, is when you do get those credentials updated, they'll stay with you, and then it's just really updating some of those things that have expired. I will shout out AMN Passport again. You can load all of those documents into your wallet. You can have those things there ready to go. Even before you're ready to start looking at a travel assignment, but it does make you stand out. Lauren, are you having any PTSD from credentialing?
Oh yes, we learned the hard way that we needed to get everything in immediately, so we had to stay on top of everything just to make sure nothing would lapse, nothing would be, delay a start date. That's definitely not what anybody wants. So you gotta make sure you take responsibility of what you're in charge of and get it done as fast as you can.
Yeah, the speed thing I think is huge, especially as we talk about the current market. If compensation, for example, is really important to you, I mean, I think we can probably all guess, but if there's one really high paying job and we all want to be submitted to it, the people that will stand out will be those that are ready to go. You're quick, you can get that start date. As soon as the facility needs it. So the more that you take ownership, to Lauren's point, of getting those credentials loaded, getting your documents into AMN Passport, and then having that communication with your recruiter, to Tia's point, the faster that you'll be and the easier it will be to get an assignment more quickly. We have about 5 minutes left. We don't have any more questions in the chat, but if you want to throw a last minute one in there, please do. I'm happy to have our wonderful panel here answer. You have the wonderful Lauren, who is a previous traveler, so she can answer probably anything that you have questions on. But we did get a few questions that popped up on the Gypsy site that were pretty, I guess, pretty normal, or things that come up pretty consistently. Lauren, I did want to throw this one to you because I think that it highlights maybe one of the differences with AMN. But we did have an anonymous member ask a question about starting their contract. It looks like they were supposed to start their contract tomorrow at the time of this post, and they tested positive for COVID, which is always a big bummer. And they couldn't get a hold of their recruiter. They couldn't get a hold of on the 24 service line. What would we do in this circumstance if we had a clinician test positive?
Yes. So at AMN, and I'm sure other agencies, there's a process in place. We have a whole list of questions that we'll ask you. The important thing is, if you are sick, do not report to the facility. We've had, especially in the height of COVID, we had clinicians that didn't report, as they should not have, and it doesn't look like a no call, no show. We're at the time that everyone understands. So if you can't get a hold of them, in that situation, just know that on Monday morning, when everyone's back, we have a whole process to follow, and you'll definitely be hearing from multiple people. We can work with facilities to make sure they're aware of what's going on and when we can get you back to work.
Absolutely. I'll shout out Passport again. If this were one of our travelers, they could take a look at the Passport app, see all of the contacts that are associated to that facility, including their clinical manager, right, Lauren?
Mm-hmm. And I will also plug that if it was the day before your start on a weekend, we have our 24-hour support that could help you through that.
And somebody is going to answer that phone for you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I love it. We are just about at time, and I want to give our presenters just time to wrap up a little bit. But thank you so much for those of you who answered questions. Jessica Moore, you were super engaged, and I appreciate all of your questions and feedback as we were going through. Hopefully this gave you everything that you needed. I'll shout out again, just Terrence, Bristy, and Lachi. Thank you so much for your questions to us, as well as Mr. Teddy down there. We look forward to coming back again, but I'll wrap us up by just saying thank you so much. Nicole, Lauren, Tia, I'll come to each of you just to wrap it up with any final thoughts that you have. Lauren, I'll come to you first. Any final thoughts for our gypsy nurses out there?
I don't. I mean, the only thing I'll say is, if you have the opportunity to travel, definitely take it. Not everyone gets the opportunity, and it is a blessing to be able to go anywhere in the country and see all the different things, gain the experience. It could be really life-changing.
I love it. That's a great way to end, Lauren. And Tia, what about you?
I would just say, just be open. But even if you feel like you are burnt out, and we know that everyone is burnt out, don't forget that, you can still pick up shifts when you want. You still have that per diem side, and it gives you that flexibility to stay home whenever you want as well, in case you need to, rejuvenate yourself, is what we should say, because I know that everyone needs a break, but definitely don't forget that we are here to support as well.
I love that. Great call out, Tia. And yes, we can help you in so many ways. If you are feeling burnt out, you're feeling like you just need to pick up, a little bit and kind of get back into it. Tia would be happy to help you. Nicole, I'll come to you for last thoughts.
Well, my shirt says it all, travel with AMN. So we have the jobs, we have everything that you're looking for. So, at the end of the day, we just want to make the biggest impact we can to our hospitals, and we want you to be a part of it. So come travel with us.
I love it. And definitely the period on the sentence of we just appreciate all of you so much, and come travel with us. We want to live vicariously through all of you, see what those travel experiences are like. And again, just cannot thank you all enough for doing the work that you do, whether it be travel, per diem, a permanent assignment. We just appreciate everything. And with that, I'll bring Rachel back up so we can wrap up our live. But thanks for having us back, Rachel.
Definitely, of course. We love having you guys on there. So much great information. And if any of you have any more questions, reach out to them on social media, AMN Healthcare, or go to that website, amnhealthcare.com, and reach out to them. They're always available pretty much. They do have to sleep, but a lot of times, they're available. So the conversations don't have to end here. You guys can reach out to them over on social or on the website. So yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, so much again. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time.